Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
Chad Franson here, co-host for this show where we feature top restaurateurs, investors, and business leaders. This is part of our SpotOn series. SpotOn has the best-in-class payment platform for retail, and they have a flagship solution called SpotOn Restaurant, where they combine marketing, software, and payments all in one. They've served everyone from larger chains like Dairy Queen and Subway to small mom-and-pop restaurants. To learn more, go to SpotOn.com. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. We help B2B businesses to get ROI clients, referrals, and strategic partnerships through Done-For-You podcasts. If you have a B2B business and want to build great relationships with clients, referrals, partners, and thought leaders in your space, there's no better way to do it than through podcasts and content marketing. To learn more, go to rise25media.com or email us at support@rise25media.com. Isaac Hamlin is an American business professional and the founder of Better Blend. Before entrepreneurship, he played collegiate rugby at the University of Kentucky, where he consumed what are now called blends for optimal performance on the rugby field. Since being established in 2018, the company now operates in multiple states and has served hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people and their healthy lifestyles. Hey, Isaac, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Yeah, Chad, thanks for having me on.
Hey, so tell me a little bit more about Better Blend. I know you have locations, two in Ohio and one in Kentucky. What can a customer expect when he or she goes to one of those locations?
Yeah, so usually when I get asked this question where somebody comes in for the first time and they're kind of looking around, they're like, what is this? I like to take it back to the origin story that you kind of touched on a little bit where, yeah, I played collegiate rugby at the University of Kentucky. I was making these meal replacements for myself, and they were really just something that would get me all of the benefits of a good meal in a cup, something that was quick, something that was easy, and something that didn't weigh on me. You know, when you have a big meal and you want to take a nap after, sometimes that's great. And I'm a fan of that too. But sometimes you really can't have that. And before a game is one of those times. And we would have our pregame meals of spaghetti and meatballs and pork chops, mashed potatoes. And it worked for some people. But for me, I needed something that gave me all my protein, gave me those carbs that I needed, those calories that I needed, but didn't weigh on me. So ended up graduating from UK and realized that there's a real market for this kind of thing. That I think the world is kind of going in a direction where they care about how they look, but they really care about how they feel. So if we could create something that gets you that quick, and we can make it taste like your favorite dessert. So we've got flavors like brownie batter, peanut butter pie, stuff like that. So if we can cultivate both of those things, then we could really do something great for people that are trying to eat healthy. And Better Blend was born.
Yeah. So people, so what's it like when you go in there? It's you just kind of order your preferred flavor.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fast casual kind of setup. So it's going to be like a Starbucks or a Chipotle. You'll go in, we'll have the menus on the wall, and they'll have the recipes with predetermined flavors. So you've got like I said, the brownie batter. We got like a banana caramel cheesecake. We've got our traditional basic smoothies as well, like strawberry banana and different stuff that has all those great veggies and fruits in there. And then we also have bowls, which are very, very popular. They're kind of our acai bowls, our smoothie bowls. We keep it very simple, very basic, just keeping everybody coming in to get basically what you would need in a really good meal. We just make it very quick and easy and refreshing.
So when you were playing rugby, your teammates would be eating a pretty hearty type meal, and then you would have a blend, but you would not feel full. You'd feel satisfied, yet you'd feel like you could, go out and play a rugby game.
Exactly. And we know that the world's getting busier. One of the big things that people struggle with is that 2 p.m. crash. And a lot of that comes down to your nutrition. Even somebody who wants to start their health and wellness and their fitness journey or whatever it might be, when you start that process, when it's your first day of doing that and you're like, okay, I'm going to lose 20 pounds or I'm going to put on lean muscle. Those cravings, those old cravings of Reese's Cups and whatever it might be, those are real. And if you could have something that curbs that craving and it gives you all the good stuff, it makes it really easy for people to go on that journey. And we want to be that welcoming environment where people can come in and we can serve that need.
So you kind of had the idea when you were in college?
That's right. Yeah.
What gave you the confidence to start your own business right out of college?
Well, from a like ground point, I have a really, really supportive family. And they helped me a lot. And when it first started, I really didn't expect it to be the hit that it was. And I always joked when people would come in they'd be like, "Oh, who's the owner?" And it was me. And they're like, "Oh, really? You're 22?" And I was like, "Yeah." He was used to say, "If you're going to go bankrupt, might as well do it when you're 22, right?" So I just put it all in. We risked it all out, and it paid off. And we've been trucking along ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. So tell me a little bit about your first kind of your first brick and mortar location and how that went for you as kind of a first timer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I moved back home after college. I figured that was the best market to do something, somewhere where I grew up. And we started building our first location after we found this little location in a strip mall that everyone had forgotten about. And we didn't have any money to have contractors come in and do it. So me and my dad, my sister, and my mom built this first location. And my dad's kind of a master carpenter, and we helped a lot. So I would do that during the day. And then I would go work at Amazon at night just to get extra money in the door, just so we could pay for this thing. And I don't recommend this to young entrepreneurs that are starting for the first time, but I had really good credit. So I just maxed out as many credit cards as I could take. And I don't recommend this, of course, but that's how we funded this thing, because we didn't have a loan and have family money, stuff like that. So we launched, and we had to make it work. We just had to. And there's something about that kind of, if you're going to take the island, burn the boats kind of mentality, where you have to make it work, that gets you there. And that's what we did. And ever since, we've been rocking and rolling.
Wow, that is amazing. So what went into the building process? You had to build like a back room, a front counter, like your typical kind of fast casual restaurant?
Yep. Clean slate. It was a blank room. Had to build the counters, had to build the back wall. Had to build like the half walls to get people to walk, put the floors down. Luckily, to open a Better Blend, it's not super labor intense. Like, we don't have to put like food hoods in and stuff like that. So the cost is minimal, which is fantastic. And it helped us launch. And then another thing that we did just to get the word out is I made these shirts, and I'm wearing one now. And they were just plain shirts with a logo, cheap to make. And I would go to my friends, 20 of my friends, and I was like, "Hey, can you guys just wear these? Like, when you go work out, wear these around, and I'll give them to you for free." And they're like, "Oh no, like, we'll pay for them." So I sold them at cost. And then a week later, I got an order for 20 more. And then a week later, it was 40 more. And then a week later, I had 150 people. And then it was like 300 people walking around with these shirts on because they were so cheap and good material. And when we launched, we had so many people looking at this shirt, and they're like, "What's Better Blend?" And you see a webpage come up of coming soon to Florence, blah, blah, blah. And they got excited. It built that hype. So when we launched with Thunder, and that's really what got us off the ground.
That's awesome. When did you have kind of a vision for what you wanted as you were building the place? Like, I want this, you obviously had a vision for blends, but did you have a vision for kind of like the place, the vibe, whatever?
Yeah, we wanted something super welcoming. We wanted something bright and optimistic. We knew that our concept was different, so it would take a little bit of education to tell a customer, like, "Hey, we know you've never heard of something like this before, but like, bear with us. Like, let's explain what we've got." So the colors, the brightness of the store, they all reflect that kind of optimism and health and happiness. And that's the other thing. Like I said, when people are starting their health and wellness journey for the first time, it's intimidating. So we want something that's very welcoming, very inclusive, to bring them in, help share their story with us, so we can help them be accountable and go on that journey with them. So yeah, it all came together like that.
So you said when you launched with Thunder. What were kind of the early days like? Maybe your first, month or two.
So the first month or two, we launched in June, and we were getting a lot of new people in, and it was a lot of, because we're different. Like, when you open a coffee shop, everyone knows you're going to sell coffee. But when you open what we opened, it took a level of explaining. So we were doing a lot of talking. I was there from open to close, basically. Had a few employees. And some of our recipes were really, really bad. Candidly, like, everyone starts off and they evolve and they improve. But some of our stuff was bad. And we always joke about it now. Just some of the recipes that didn't make it. So we're always improving. Even now, we're always improving what we got and what we put into our blends. And eventually we had bowls, and then different variations of that. Like, next we're going to do coffee, kind of iced smoothies, stuff like that. So we're always evolving, always changing.
So I was looking at some of your blends. They come in a lot of different flavors. You already mentioned some of them: blueberry cake donut, banana caramel cream cheese cake, coconut cream pie, peanut butter Oreo, and turtle crunch. How did you come up with all those flavors? Were those your like brain children?
Yeah, a little bit. And it was also a team effort. So we basically looked around at what are the most indulgent flavors in the world? Like, what do people like when you look at ice creams and you look at milkshakes and you look at other smoothies that aren't as healthy, like aren't healthy notoriously? Can we take those flavors and make them healthy? And there's a lot that we can't. Like, we get requests for a lot of stuff. We're like, listen, we can't figure that one out. The ingredients don't exist. But we wanted to see how many of those indulgences that we could create and make healthy. And that's kind of the brand of what we are. It's called Better Blend. We take these food items and we make them better, make them healthier while maintaining that taste. And we're able to do something really special with it.
What were some? Can you give me an example of one that didn't work out?
Oh yeah. So we had an apple pie one, and we've had a peach cobbler. The peach cobbler, the problem is we use real fruits, and at first we used frozen fruits because food costs is very important to us, not just for an economic sense, but also for the environment sense. And so we use a lot of frozen fruits, and frozen peaches don't have a lot of flavor. They just don't. Like, peaches notoriously, unless they're soaked in syrup or whatever, which we don't do any of that stuff either, you're just not getting a lot of peach taste. So that one people spit out. But we've had flavors that definitely needed refined.
How do you kind of convince people, or how can you make people aware that these aren't just dessert? A lot of those flavors that I mentioned, you might think that would be a good dessert after I have lunch. How do you kind of convey the information that this could be lunch?
Yeah. So a lot of marketing, a lot of educational. Our team is very versed on this kind of stuff. So when you think Better Blend, especially in our area, you think like this is going to be a healthy meal. I can replace my meal with this because I'm getting all my calories, carbs. I'm getting the protein that I need, the vitamins and minerals that I need. I'm getting all of that stuff in there, and you don't see that through a treat, right? So like if you and I were to go get ice cream or a lot of smoothies that are on the market today, that's going to quench our thirst. And it's going to taste good. It's be refreshing. But what's the ROI of the thing you just put in your body? Is it going to give you energy? Did it give you the protein that you need? Did it give you the vitamins and minerals that you need? And we want to check as many boxes as we can on that side, so we make it as beneficial. At the end of the day, someone could be proud that they had a blend that day.
What was there kind of in terms of running the business during your first location? Was there kind of a big surprise, or maybe like something that you learned? I'm sure you learn new stuff on the job all the time, but maybe like something you learned on the job where you're like, okay, this is kind of an eye opener.
That's a good question. So like operational wise, or just
like operations wise, like running the staff, or maybe the revenue or expenses and revenue, anything from maybe a business perspective.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things when we went from state to state, and this is a testament to any entrepreneur that changes states, the regulations for opening are way different state to state. And you'll put this model together and try to move it into a new market, and it just doesn't work, or the municipalities are slower, or whatever it might be, but it just takes you by surprise, so much so that some areas are so lax, not even lax, but like there's certain hoops you have to jump through in certain cities that you don't have to jump through otherwise, and nobody can teach you that. You just have to like basically be thrown into fire on that and figure that out. That, and then just figuring out and learning about our customer, learning about what the people want. We've learned a lot from how to empower our employees and that kind of stuff, and kind of turning into a place where people can come and feel a part of something bigger than themselves, and cultivating that environment where people can come and they can be vulnerable and they can be safe and they can feel like they're part of a family aspect. That kind of stuff takes time. That kind of stuff takes a lot of listening and empathy. So yeah, that's definitely stuff we learned very early on.
When did you know it was time to expand from one location to more?
So our first location started picking up a lot, and we've always had the dream of, man, we want to see, instead of a Taco Bell on every corner, we would like to see something like a Better Blend. If not a Better Blend, then something like a Better Blend, something that's healthier, fast, easy, and gets you all that. Like, we want to see the world happier and healthier. So we knew we were going to go big. We knew we were always going to grow. And about a year into our first year, we started looking at new spots, and we were ready to expand about a year later. we just couldn't find a good spot. And then finally we did right before the pandemic. Excuse me. We signed a lease at our second location and signed it. Pandemic hit. Lease, like, rent started to come in. And we're like, we got to do something. We've got to do something. We got to build this thing out, and we've got to open it. And the second location is a downtown location. And as you can imagine, nobody is downtown during a pandemic because they're all either locked inside or they moved away. They're not coming down for work. Mm-hmm. And actually next week, May 1st, the first time that the majority of the office people are coming back to Cincinnati. So we haven't even seen the full capacity yet, which is really cool. But yeah, about a year is when we're like, all right, let's do this again. We can do this.
All right. Hey, Better Blend has a great story. I appreciate you sharing it with us. What are some of your goals moving forward?
So our next step is we're franchising, which is a huge endeavor. We took this endeavor on about 9 months ago, signed on a company out of Los Angeles called DCB. They do great work. I can't share the details of exactly what that would look like, of course, because we haven't signed all of our paperwork to the FTD and haven't submitted all that kind of stuff. But once we get approved by the FTC, we will start our nationwide franchising journey, and it's going to be a lot of fun. That's what we're looking forward to.
What do you think? Maybe this is too early, but what do you think makes Better Blend a good franchise opportunity for somebody who would be looking into that kind of line of business?
So we're definitely very forward facing, and we don't think that health food is going to be a fad. And we've realized that we positioned ourselves in someone who can get it out faster than anybody, more convenient than anybody. The cost of entry for a Better Blend, of course, like I alluded to earlier, there's not a ton that goes into that. And we're part of a forward mission company to where we want to do something better for the world, and we're always evolving. And we have a great leadership group in place to kind of launch that with them. It's just going to be a lot of fun to see what kind of growth this company could do in the next 5 years.
Okay. Hey, how can people find out more information?
So you can go to our website at www.betterblend.com, and you can find all our info there. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of those places. But yeah.
Hey, if you were to go in as a customer, what would be your go-to item?
My favorite blend is an oatmeal raisin cookie with a banana. Got to throw the banana in there.
All right. Sounds good. Hey, I appreciate your time, Isaac. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you, Chad. It was a pleasure.
So long, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.